I watched the first 2 episodes of Mayans, which are the only 2 that I've aired.
That's a show?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a video game.
No. Mayans MC. Spin-off of Sons of Anarchy. And I hadn't watched either of the episodes last week, and Cheesy said, dude, you should watch it. It's legit. So I watched it, and it feels like putting on an old shoe, you know? Like, okay, I like this world, even though it's... So, Sons of Anarchy takes place in Northern California, and the Mayans have a charter up there, and they work with the Sons of Anarchy a lot, or against them, depending on what week you're watching.
Yeah.
But this one takes place in Southern California, and it's the Southern California chapter of the Mayans, and charter of the Mayans, and there's a lot of back and forth between Mexico and California. Like, it's a border town version of this, which I think is really rad. It's completely different. But yeah, like the reason it felt like putting on like an old pair of shoes that you just feel so good in is like immediately I was like, okay, this is Kurt Sutter doing what he does. The writing feels really good, and it just feels like he was itching to write more in this world.
Yeah.
And there's some cool ass cameos in the first 2 episodes from characters from Sons of Anarchy. So chronologically, this takes place after Sons of Anarchy, but they do a lot of flashback stuff for the lead character.
Okay.
And it's really cool. The only thing I really don't like about it so far is right away in the first like 5 minutes of the first episode of Sons of Anarchy, you're rooting for Jax right away. They go out of their way to show you this is the character you're rooting for. No matter the good or bad he does or is involved in, you're rooting for Jax Teller throughout the whole show. And there's seasons later where he becomes a complete shitbag, but you're still rooting for him for whatever reason because of the way they ground it at the beginning. This show, I don't like any of the characters.
Really?
Like, and not like, oh, these are badly written or anything like that. Just there's no relatability to any characters so far.
Is some of that 2 episode in, like, maybe give it some more time?
Oh yeah, I'm not. It's not necessarily like a
it's
deal
gonna
breaker
stay
for
that
me.
way, yeah.
But like the lead character, I don't like him. I'm not rooting for him in any way, shape, or form. The only character that's even remotely likable is played by Edward James Olmos, and he's kind of a background.
Oh, he's in it?
He's a background character, which is insane. Yeah. But he's really good.
It's a lot of talent to have as a background character.
He's a very, very important background character. He's sort of like the voice of reason for the lead character.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, right away it has that same kind of comedy I liked out of Sons of Anarchy. And it's got the same drama. It's got like the same... There's a lot of sameness to it, but not in a bad way. It's not like, oh, this is just a different gang in the but it could be the Sons of Anarchy. But then you're like, so in Sons of Anarchy, their home base is an auto repair shop. Go figure.
Right.
Bunch of white people.
Yeah,
at an auto
I've seen
repair
that
shop.
much of it to know.
The headquarters for the Mayans, which is an all Latin gang, is a fucking scrapyard. So it's really funny.
Okay.
The stereotype stuff is really funny, and it's not a bad thing because when you look at, the way that Kurt Sutter has written other characters in this world, it's like, okay, they go for the stereotypical things, which is fine. But yeah, there's some characters in here from Sons of Anarchy, and there's one character in particular that has been very prominent in the first 2 episodes, who is the president of the Mayans charter from Northern California, and I hope he's not in a lot of episodes. I mean, he's a great actor. The character is written really well, but I just fucking hate that character so much. But yeah, I actually am really enjoying it. It hasn't hooked me yet.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there's just nobody to root for yet. And like I said, and you've watched the early episodes of that, and like
About 5, I think.
right away, you're like, man, why the fuck? Come on, Jax, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And like the other cool aspect is like Jax is a high-ranking officer, quote unquote, in the Sons of Anarchy. His dad was president at one point. I don't think he's vice president at that point, but he's high up early on. This guy is a prospect. So you are seeing from the beginning of somebody entering
All right.
the club, which is really cool. And he's got ties to the club already, but he is a prospect. He's not at the table. He has no say in anything. He's a fucking prospect, and it's really cool the way they treat it. And I gotta say that if you like the hook of Psych, to where he's a super observant guy, and like in Psych he pawns it off as being a psychic, but in this show, like the lead character, he's a very observant guy of photographic memory, and that comes into play. So it feels kind of like a mixture of The Shield and Sons of Anarchy, which are both shows written by Kurt Sutter and created by Kurt Sutter, which is I'm really into it so
I
far.
didn't know he did the Shield too.
Yeah,
I didn't
he
know
was
he
a
did the
big part of
Shield
that.
either.
I don't think he created it. He was a big writer
yeah,
on
yeah.
that show. And a lot of people from The Shield came over to Sons of Anarchy as either it was bit characters or production staff and stuff like that. So if you like Sons of Anarchy, I would say watch it. If you haven't watched Sons of Anarchy, you can jump right in.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So, how close of a relative is this to Sons of Anarchy? Like, so you said some stuff, and if you already said it and I missed it, you could tell me. Like, are these actually literally in the same world? Like, is there a scenario where I don't know if they've talked about it, where people from Sons could appear on this show?
There is. There's been two cameos so far, maybe three.
Okay. And it's set after.
Yeah, and it's set after. But like I said, they do flashbacks. So, and even though that this is taking place in Southern California, so the way that Sons of Anarchy is, they have charters all over. They have one in Nevada, they got Northern California, they've got one in Southern California, so it's all over the place. So the Mayans, like I said, I was really hoping it wouldn't just be, the Mayans in Northern California who directly dealt with the Sons, which would be really rough to do. So he smartly placed it, somewhere else completely.
Yeah.
And it's the same state, but contrary to what everybody likes to think about California, it's not just LA and then Northern California. There's a lot of space between there. But like I said, the president of the Mayans Club from Northern California has been in both episodes so far.
Is that what the
Southern
MC stands for?
Yeah, Motorcycle Club. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, and I'm excited to watch more. And I've been DVRing and watching it on delay so I can fast forward through commercials.
Nice.
Because the way I watched Sons of Anarchy was I binge watched it on Netflix, like the first 4 seasons in like a week, which is insane.
Yeah.
Are you done? Because I was gonna bring something else up too.
Yeah, pretty much.
So am I.
Don't watch yet. You'd be okay watching the first 2 episodes?
I probably wouldn't. I probably.
But don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather probably watch Sons.
Because I was watching it and I was like, oh, cool, it's nice to see that person. And Alexis goes, who's that? And I go, shut up. But she's watching it with me, and she's in on this. So.
What I wanted to bring up was American Horror
Oh,
Story.
that's what I wanted.
That was
to bring
I
up, too.
figured.
Okay.
American Horror Story premiered. The crossover for Coven and Murder House. The first episode of My Nightmares Come True, and that's pretty much it's called Apocalypse,
Yeah,
and it's pretty much starts with the apocalypse coming, end of the world, and the way it plays out in the beginning of the show. It's like you have this spoiled person on the phone getting their hair done, and like everyone gets that message on their phone, like when there's like an Amber Alert or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They get a message saying that there's missiles incoming, and they try to play it off. Well, Hawaii had the same thing going on too, and this is real because of course it's called the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Or apocalypse. It was scary. Shit like that. The time we live in right now, that shit's scary.
I know Rick. I know that's something that's always in the forefront of Rick's mind a lot. Like when I've been traveling, when I've been to Europe or Japan or whatever, I feel like Rick's always like, "No, be careful," or whatever. And then so like I get how that sort of like hit him,
Oh god, I like that Billy Eichner, I think his last name, who does Billy on the Street, is in it. In like the first episode. I don't know if you ever watched Billy on the Street on YouTube. No? Oh, okay. He's funny. Watch Billy on the Street
Okay.
on YouTube. You'll like him.
So which guy is he?
He's Billy on.
No.
He's the guy who's like, "Don't leave me in Santa Monica."
Oh, okay. So it's funny. I just figured we're talking about TV, might as well. But you brought up Mayans, it felt like putting on like an old shoe or something. And like, let me explain this a little bit. This feels that way to an extent, not because it feels samey, but because of what Rick said in that we are getting a crossover of 2 seasons to where we're anticipating getting to see characters again that were in those seasons. And the idea or the thought of actually getting to, well, both of them, but specifically, especially because I just watched it and I'm glad you did, of getting to see Murder House again, I'm like giddy.
I'm glad that I watched that.
Yeah, I'm like giddy at the thought and the idea of it. And it's just, the first episode, I actually, and I'll say smartly, because I'll admit, I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, when are we going to see this person from Coven? When are we going to see this person from Murder House? Yeah. They didn't give us any of it.
Okay.
They gave one thing, but it was new because this person was grown up. So
that's cool.
So it was different. But what they did do is they introduced us to the world of American Horror Story Apocalypse. Like they showed, what did we decide? It's Outpost, right?
Outpost, yeah.
Outpost 3. This whole like kind of like underground bunker. It's supposed to be, the look of it is fucking dope. Like I'm like, man, I want my house to kind of look like this. There's candles all over the
design and set directing is amazing.
There's candles all over the place and stuff, and so they really like they introduced you to these new characters who, yes, are being played by people that have been regulars of the series, and yes, as far as I understand it, there's going to be people playing two roles characters on the show.
Oh shit! That's
they do that quite a bit, but they did such a good job of getting me really excited about like the new stuff of this season while anticipating big time like I can't wait to see like when we start seeing the stuff we already do know. Like I am so fucking pumped for this to unfold.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed Murder House and Coven. Coven I think I liked a little bit more, maybe because it's the first one I watched.
Did you actually finish these seasons?
Yes, I did.
I made him because like, well, I didn't make him. Coven we watched together.
We watched together
every episode because he was working down the street.
That's cute.
And so we made like we used to make we had a nice little Wednesday night of it, you know, like that's what we would do.
Did you go to Bed Bath & Beyond, or did you not have time?
No, we didn't go. We didn't have time for that. We didn't have time. Home Depot, we did
for sure.
We went to Home Depot. But so that was his first like. Well, Rick was always like he was interested in American Horror Story, but Rick was still in his like I don't know about this phase with like scary stuff. When the first season came out, Murder House.
Yeah.
But then when this was announced that Apocalypse was going to be a crossover between Coven and Murder House, I'm like, dude, you have to watch Murder House. Like, I told you because that was the first season, like, dude, you'd like this a lot. I really think you would. You have to watch it. So I didn't make him, but I said, I highly encourage that you do it. And I was going to probably make him eventually. So like, you fucking do this. Do it for Black Lively. But anyways, he watched it, and yeah, I'm glad you're happy that you are. And I'm just like, I just have such anticipation of like seeing these characters again and seeing like, oh my god, like we're in, because they've kind of hinted throughout, and this is news, not news to Rick, but Rick hasn't seen every season, but they've said, implied, they've planted little seeds that while this is an anthology. Yeah, while this is an anthology series, I had to think for a second what you were referencing, and then I got it. Like I knew what it was, but I'm like, wait, that wasn't that. It was this, and so I won't say anymore. But they basically, as the shows went on, while they've all had different, like season 2 is about an asylum, which you've started. You should go with that, but concentrate on this for now. But that's really good. And then 3, 4, 5, they're all different stuff, but they've hinted that really this is the same universe.
Okay.
And these are all connected somehow, and this is the first sign of it that we're seeing.
All right.
Of it being connected, and it's just really exciting.
That's cool, man.
You brought up the old shoe thing, and I'm like, I can't fucking wait. I'm so excited.
Being the person who likes to do a lot of research when I get into something, I did so much research on this to the point where I started figuring out fan theories and trying to think about how these are connected.
Yeah.
Oh my god. There are so many theories out there, but there's one that really holds a lot of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last season, or it was Roanoke, I think, there were so many people like theorizing how like where that one was gonna fucking go. Like there's a lot of that in American Horror Story. But what Rick just said, when I wanted more as soon as that first episode was over, not because I didn't get the characters that I wanted to see, but because I was so intrigued.
Yeah.
That I found myself.
I hate that I have to wait.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know, but I was so
Go
intrigued.
to hell, right?
I immediately like I fucking went onto the butthole because they've got a subreddit for this, and I'm like, what are people saying? What are they talking about? And like, I actually didn't know. I didn't I should have known because that music came on that's from season 1. But I'm like, oh, that's supposed to be that, you know, the baby or whatever, grown up or whatever. But I fell into the same hole where I just like, but I liked it though. It's exciting.
Didn't his ID say Landon on it too?
I knew the name was familiar, but I just didn't piece it together. Yeah. But you know the music, right?
Yeah, the music was the one.
The music, I'm like, oh shit! I immediately looked over at Andy. I'm like, that's from fucking Murder House. I'm like, okay, what's about to happen right now? Nice. You know? But yeah, same deal. Like I fell into this hole of like just wanting to hear people's thoughts and like what people were saying and like what people think is gonna happen. And I think it's fun to be that invested into a show like that. I mean, something similar has happened to me right now. Like, it was a slow burn, but a good one with Better Call Saul. Because Better Call Saul right now, like, I don't want to say much, but I mean, you're watching him. They're not fusing together, but we're starting to get into territory. Like, so here's the thing that's really interesting without going off on TV for too long, but it's just another thing that I'm getting really sucked into. Better Call Saul, with every season, is getting better and better. But at the start of each season, they show you something that's in black and white. That as you're watching it, you're like, at first, now I know, but at first you're like, because Better Call Saul is obviously before Breaking Bad, but the black and white thing, I'm like, wait a minute, is this post Breaking Bad?
Right.
And as it turns out, everything that's black and like the first episode of every season, they maybe do it more, I don't know, but I know it's always the first episode of every season. They show this thing that it's basically been confirmed that this is post Breaking Bad, what you're seeing, and it's super fucking. Okay. There's usually nothing. There's hardly any words spoken. It's mostly visual.
Okay.
And you're just like, oh fuck. And then now we're hitting territory right now where you're seeing things that are like, oh, so that's how this came to be in Breaking Bad. I'm watching it. I'm watching stuff that I didn't get to see. And It's getting super fucking interesting. It's just. Yeah. It's just cool to see stuff like that. And so between Better Call Saul and American Horror Story right now and The Innocents that I just watched and fucking Sabrina coming, like there's just a lot of things
to watch,
that I'm just pumped about right now. Mm-hmm. So we can end TV Corner.
Cool.